Young ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone. Once again, you are welcome here on your platform. Much beloved, the platform for awakening consciousness. So it's making international headlines. Donald Trump, after getting angry with Vladimir Putin, is now moving to the threat phase. He directly threatens Vladimir Putin. So that means this beautiful friendship we saw recently was just a flash in the pan. But it was to be expected. It was to be expected in the sense that Vladimir Putin is not naive. He doesn't let himself be fooled like that. He shows his humanism. He observes you up to a certain point. If Putin realizes that you are not taking him seriously, he takes himself seriously. And the consequences, it's you who suffer from them. This is the situation we are experiencing today, which results in the inability to reach an agreement. Putin has denounced this issue so much. He has denounced so much that the Westerners said no. He is not ready for peace. But Putin continued to denounce. As he kept denouncing, that can't be. The spokesperson for the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the spokesperson for Russian diplomacy, Maria Zakharova, also came out to denounce. But they turned a deaf ear. What did Putin denounce? Taking them seriously. Russia respects the ceasefire agreement. Ukraine is not respecting it. London and Paris are pushing Ukraine to strike Russian territory. This is not in favor of obtaining a peace agreement. When Russia spoke, they said nothing. They continued. So, Russia started bombing. Yes. Moreover, what needs to be said is that today, we will even revisit the real threat that Trump is wielding against Putin. Today, March 30th, 2025, Russian forces have seized a Ukrainian village located 7 kilometers from the Dnipropetrovsk region, situated in central Ukraine. That is in central Ukraine, indeed. The statement was made by the Russian Ministry of Defense. So that means they are now in central Ukraine. Units of the Russian army have liberated the village of Zaporizhia. And this village is located in the eastern region of Donetsk, but close to that of Dnipropetrovsk, which borders it on its western flank. So, the images are already available. Russia is advancing. But in the meantime, as we saw in the previous video conference, Putin has set a condition. He says he can no longer negotiate with an illegitimate president. There should be an interim government. Interim from the government. Interim. So a transitional government in Ukraine. It is only in this case that he can negotiate. This is what has provoked Donald Trump's intense anger. Donald Trump does not stop there. He threatens Vladimir Putin. And what is the content of the threat? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are going to discuss in this video conference. But I would like you to share this video conference as much as possible. It gives strength to the video. And above all, please give it a lot of likes. So, Donald Trump says this. He says, if Russia and I are not able to reach an agreement to end the bloodshed in Ukraine, and I think that it was Russia's fault. So, it would be Russia's fault. So, he blames Russia. He says that if Russia and he do not manage to reach an agreement, it will be Russia's fault. Do you see the mentality of these Westerners? Now, they no longer think about what Zelensky is doing. Now, Trump no longer thinks about what London and Paris are doing. You are aware that Emmanuel Macron has summoned his war cabinet NATO war chiefs on March 27, 2025 in Paris, where they decided to implement the war plan against Russia. After this famous meeting in which Zelensky participated, what did they do? They decided to push Zelensky to intensify drone attacks against Russian energy infrastructures. This is how the energy infrastructures of Sudan, they were attacked. Even the Kursk power plant they had attacked. Fortunately, the Russian soldiers had pushed back a little more. So, what is the real threat content from Donald Trump? So, Donald Trump says that if we do not reach an agreement, it is Russia's fault. I will impose secondary tariffs. I will impose secondary tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. So he is now targeting Russian oil for sanctions. So, despite everything, he plans to speak with Vladimir Putin in the coming days. But already, this is the first threat he is brandishing. He is brandishing the first threat. So he says that if there is no agreement, he will increase tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. Well, listen, here is a man who is unaware that, for a very long time, Russia has been under Western sanctions. Certainly he is ignoring it. Russia is under Western sanctions. Because of this, Russia has its ways to circumvent these sanctions. The Russian economy has never collapsed. I rather think that this man is making a mistake. Instead of starting to threaten Putin, he is someone you do not threaten. Russia is not like Iran. You threaten Putin, he will say, okay, no problem. You want us to beat our chests? No problem. Putin has spent all his time preparing his country for this war, for this conflict against the West. So they are ready. They are truly ready. So, do such threats improve the situation? Donald Trump, who had approached Russia in a somewhat more subdued manner, behaving like a manager, as a businessman, if all of a sudden he changes and starts threatening, while those whom Russia says, Russia and Switzerland are right. Russia is right. Putin is a thoughtful head of state. You are going to sign this agreement today with Zelensky. It is not legal. It is not legitimate. If there is a new government, this new government will throw that agreement in the trash, saying that you signed an agreement with someone who did not represent our state, someone who had usurped power as he was legally beyond his term of office. What would Russia's reaction be? Russia would have lost. It would have been trapped. However, the territory is already recovered. Russia wants to secure them. Because there is nem there. There are rare minerals. Russia wants to secure its perimeters. And when it is exploiting them, it will not have any problems. Any government that comes to Ukraine, whether in a century, these governments will not have a problem with this agreement. And so, here is the sad reality of international news on this March 30th, 2025. Thank you for sharing as much as possible. I will be back shortly by the grace of the Almighty with new updates. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.